Hey, Life Together groups, this is Pastor Cameron Corbin.
And Pastor Stacy Corbin, Whitestone Rocks.
This is my beautiful bride, my young bride, who just celebrated her birthday yesterday. And so she's 25 plus 10.
And half a century.
Plus 15. You could do the math yourself, half a
Yeah.
century. But anyways, so we're super excited that you're at Life Together groups this week. Listen, God's called you to climb a mountain. And so when I say that, don't freak out. Don't say, I can't. What I mean by that is God's called you to climb a mountain of spiritual proportion. God's called you to a mountain of spiritual influence. The Bible has mountains all through it that God would meet people on mountaintops. He met Noah on the top of Mount Ararat when the ark came to a landing. He met Abraham as he sacrificed Isaac on a mountaintop. He met his disciples on the mountain of Transfiguration. He met Moses on the mountain Sinai when he gave them the Ten Commandments. God has special mountains, special purposes for us. And in Joshua chapter 14, it's a really cool story about Joshua and Caleb, and specifically Caleb. So I'd like for y'all to read tonight in your group Joshua chapter 14, verses 7 through 15. And it's this summary of Caleb being 85 years old saying, I want the mountain that God gave to me. I want to go capture the purpose for my life. I want to go capture the territory that God's called me to. And so I want you to know that God's called you to a specific place of influence. We talked in service today about 7 mountains. There's the mountain of family influence, the mountain of business influence, the mountain of educational influence, the mountain of governmental influence, the mountain of religious influence, the mountain of arts and entertainment, and the mountain of media. All these 7 mountains are mountains in our society that greatly influence other people. And so I don't know which mountain God's called you to. Maybe God's positioned you as a school teacher. Maybe you are a lawyer or in politics of some sort. Maybe God's called you just to be a mom or a great dad. Maybe God's called you to business. Or maybe you're in the religious world or a religious system. God's called you to a specific mountain of influence. And so we want you to discuss tonight, 1, what mountains God called you to. 2, are you using your position of influence for His glory or for your own glory? Are we just at work to make money and climb the corporate ladder, if you will? Or are we there to get that position so that we can influence people for the Lord? What's God called you to? We know this, that God's called you to a mountain. I want you to be like Caleb and say, I'm going to take the mountain that God's called me to. Use the position God's given you to bring His glory and His influence to the world around us. And pray for those that are on top of the mountains. Pray for our business leaders, whether it's Michael Dell or whether it's the owner of Chick-fil-A. Pray for men and women who are heading up the corporate America. Pray for our governors. Pray for our senators. Pray for the principals at your school. Pray for our educational leaders. Pray for our sports and athletes. Pray that they'll use their influence, that mountain of success, for God's glory, not just to sell more tennis balls or footballs or golf balls, not just for their own glory, but pray for those who are in positions of success. Pray for our president. Pray for pastors. Pray for people simply like mom and dads next door. Pray for people that have influence. And let's run the race that God's called us to, and let's climb the mountain that God's called us to climb. Thanks for coming.
Yes, and we love you guys, and we want you to know that we're praying for you, and Jesus keeps you safe, and live your life loved.